I'm going to break down a 2024-2025 Baylor women's basketball roster, not just in terms of position, but how many seniors and all that for each classification. What do I think the ceiling and the floor for the team is, not just in the Big 12, but in the NCAA tournament. Now, I do not see this team missing the NCAA tournament. I do not see that happening unless some major things happen. That's the only way. But even then, I really highly doubt it, to be honest. So there's 12 players on the team, one true center and Aaron Vonleh, though there's 3 other forwards, and 2 of those forwards, Kyle Abraham and Madison Bartley, they could play the 5, the center position. So I'm not so worried about that. And it's good to have some size for the change, especially in a starting lineup. And I know they had to adjust last few years, not having a true center on the team in the starting lineup. And now they're going to. It's going to take a little bit of adjustment, doing like high-low passes, especially for those players that never played with a post player like Aaron Vonleh before. I mean, that's the truth. But that's a good problem to have, and especially early on in the year when compared to other things. There are 2 other guards that can play forwards, and that's Aaron Little Page Bucks and Bell Alfonso. They're like the 3 and the 4 for the team. It's and all that. And the position wise, though, they have been in the past like the 4 and the 5 because of they were needed to step up in those spots. So it's good to know that they could do that. It's just that's really their true positions, like the 3 and the 4. Though they could defend multiple positions, and that's a good thing. Now, technically up to 8 guards on the team, if you include Bella and Bugs, honestly. Now, how many seniors on the team? 6 of them, that's including grad seniors. 4 juniors, including Waze Jennings, which her name is like Wyetta, but she prefers to be called Waze, and that's what Nikki Collins said, so I'm just going to go with Waze Jennings. And it's 4 juniors, including her. She's a newcomer from the JUCO ranks, as we all know. Then there's just 2 freshmen in Kayla Nelms and Inez Goryanova, Goryanova. And I apologize if I butcher that. And Inez, by the way, will not be playing this year. She is redshirting because of a torn ACL back in January. She's recovering, and you cannot rush these things on ACLs. They're no joke. I'll tell you that much. And really, I do think the starting lineup will be Aaron Vonleh at center, Jada Walker, Sarah Andrews. One of those 2 is going to be the point guard, and the other one's going to be off the ball. But it's either way, it's a good problem. Then Bell Fonroy and Darren Little Page Bugs. Now, the rotation after that is interesting because Jane Van Geinbeek has played her at her best in her career, not just at Baylor, but in college at the end of the year last year. So I think she'll be on like the 6th, 7th spot. Same thing goes for Yaya Felder, and really that's pretty experienced guards when you tell me that, telling you guys that, because really, with the exception of Bella and Bugs as like guards in the starting lineup, if you want to classify them as guards, the other 2 guards in the starting lineup are seniors. So, very experienced. And that definitely helps a lot, to say the least. Now, it's going to be an interesting battle who's going to be directly behind Aaron Vonleh as a backup. But whoever it is between Kyle Abraham and Madison Bartley, it's probably like the 8th player in the list. Then the next would would be the 3rd string there. Kayla Nelms is probably there as like right behind, and Waze Jennings. So, it's going to be interesting how they're going to figure out this rotation here, and it's going to have depth. really important to have that. Now, we know Baylor's preseason picked third in Big 12, and I do not think that's outrageous. Because look at the two teams ahead of them. Kansas State has the preseason player of the year in Ayoka Lee, and it's good to have a post player to match her, and Kansas State returns a lot of production in the starting lineup. So really, and as Iowa State as well, and I know it's been a few years since we beat them, and I'm sure the coaching staff knows because they remember the losses more than the wins. They do. Of course, the wins are great. It's just they remember those losses at times, especially the close losses. And when you look at the schedule and the conference slate, we only play like one team in the top half of the league twice, and that's TCU. And they're directly behind us. So really the schedule's favorable. So really, worst case scenario, it's probably the same as last year, 5th. And I really don't think 6th is going to happen. But this league is very competitive. Remember, they lost to Kansas last year pretty easily. They lost to BYU. That didn't end up being so great conference-wise. And they lost to them pretty bad. I mean, double figures. And they didn't beat Iowa State or Kansas State a year ago. So the good news is the schedule is a little more in our favor. So that's why I think winning the conference is not out of the question here. That's the best case scenario for me. Look at the schedule. It's not as difficult, but you cannot overlook any of those teams. That's what this team needs to do. Now they know how to win the big games. You just got to win the other ones and find a way to win more games that are at home in bigger games, because they did struggle with that with Kansas State at home, with Ayoka Lee, and Texas at home. That's the thing, and you can't let one loss and turn into 2 losses. That's the thing. So now, NCAA tournament-wise, whether we host or not host, I do not see a way they don't finish at least in a round of 32. And I know that's crazy to say that, but it all depends about matchups. Remember, there have been upsets in the NCAA tournament in the past, so even when there's a host site, it doesn't mean anything. You got to play the game. Yes, the crowd does make a difference, but you got to play the game. Now, the ceiling for this team, I think, is Elite Eight, Final Four. Final Four is only possible depending on the matchup. That's what I'm going with, and I know the players want to win a national championship, but that's really going to be hard, given a few other teams. But you never know. Any given game, there might be an upset, and maybe out of 10 times you lose to them like 8 or 9, but there's always that 1 or 2 times that you could beat them unexpectedly. And in the conference slate, I mean, non-con is going to help prepare for the conference. I mean, I think Oregon's going to be better, but how much better is the biggest question, especially on the road. Now we get to play UCLA as a neutral site. They're probably top 5 in the country preseason wise, but we have to wait and see what happens. And you never know with injuries. That does play a factor for these teams here. And it's not mentioning the tournament and the Bahamas as well. So, I do think it's going to be a good year, an exciting one at that. And I believe this is potentially the best team under Nikki Collin in her tenure at Baylor. You can't deny that. Last year, I said the same thing about that team. And they ended up being the best. And they were right there with 1 seed USC last year. Right there. And who cares about the officiating about that game? You got to make plays to win. And I know the officiating was questionable, but you get the point. You got to find plays, make plays to win, and and all this. So, that's just my thoughts on this season coming up. And I expect it to be really a solid year, one of the best under Nikki Collin. And this is only going to help propel them for the coming years for recruiting side of things, not just high school, the transfer portal as well. So, and Waco isn't withering. Unlike that article said back in the sweet day of the Sweet 16. It's just weird timing, if you ask me. But that's just my thoughts. So, anyways, if you like this content, hit the like and subscribe button. I'll see you guys later on the road to 7 subscribers. Of course, the ultimate goal is 1,000 or more. Somebody might have to, of course, like a video, comment video. It really helps YouTube algorithms. More people see it. Sharing the video does help as well, so more people can watch. And if you're watching, then subscribe. Hit subscribe buttons, ring the notification bell as well. And I will preview some of these games, not just conference-wise, but the non-con. If they're like receiving votes or a top 25 showdown or a top 25 team. I'm just letting y'all know. And like when it gets to like the Bahamas tournament, I don't know about doing that because it's literally the day of the game and 3 games within 3 days, and that does help prepare for the Big 12 tournament. And I know that's one thing that Sarah Andrews really wants to do is get the Big 12 championship back to Waco again. I know that's what she wants, and all the seniors, and there's a lot of urgency for those seniors, and probably the same thing goes for all the other teammates, because look, this is the last shot for the seniors. Let's do it for them. I mean, I'm just being honest.